Thank you. Bill Cohen with Community Preservation Committee. The committee would like to now present our second article for fall town meeting, and that's Article 9C. Article 9C, this acquisition is a land acquisition for active a recreational open space acquisition under the Community Preservation Act. It would enlarge Stevens Field for over an acre of land. This parcel that we're looking at is actually divided up in three different parcels of land. There's two right on Sandwich Street, and there's one um, next to the two on Sandwich Street, but all of them abut Stevens Field. They enlarge Stevens Field. One would remember this property as the old former county auto property. For many years, it was an auto parts store. Recently, it was Auto Quest. Next to this location, there's also a parcel that had Plymouth Bottling Works. So it does have it is a kind of a property along Sandwich Street that you would recognize if you drove by it. Here's a picture of Stevens Field from the year taken in the 40s, but this neighborhood hasn't really changed much since the 40s. There are some different elements that have changed. This little bus station is now our fire station. This little gas station, I think it was Vining Gulf, is now a repair shop. You can see the County Auto Park parcel and the Plymouth Bottling Works. Behind it is the AK Finney building, which was then became the P&B bus station um, repair shop. That was acquired by the town of Plymouth in the 70s as their DPW bond and retired in the early 2000s and became part of Stevens Field. So Stevens Field has been growing over the years in terms of its size. The Community Preservation Committee thought it was a unique opportunity to add this land to Stevens Field, not only because we have numerous studies that have indicated that if you have a waterfront park in an urban area, you should try to enlarge that park for the growing population and uses that we'll outline now. And that is that this acquisition would give greater access and functionality to the recreational space known as Stevens Field, that the opening up the park to Sandwich Street not only opens up some very interesting vistas from Sandwich Street. You're looking out at Long Beach, you're looking out at Clark's Island, you're looking out at Saquesh. It's a very long sweeping view over our bay. There is an opportunity to enlarge a waterfront park in our downtown. Downtown Plymouth is flanked by two parks, Nelson Park to the north, Stevens Field to the south. These parks act as supporting elements to larger events in downtown Plymouth. So when there is a parade or fireworks or a celebration, Nelson Park and Stevens Field take on these supporting roles to the larger events in downtown. So whatever we can do to improve Stevens Field and its size and magnitude. There are issues that the Community Preservation Committee has noted. As many of you may know, in recent years, we've come to town meeting looking for money for planning a new Stevens Field. That planning process has been completed. We've put money aside for that construction. During the permitting process, we did note that Stevens Field was experiencing flooding during the winter months. And NOAA has released some new expected sea level rise maps. The thought was that rather than trying to raise the park and build expensive ball fields and basketball courts close to the water and tennis courts and playgrounds, that we move that infrastructure away from the water, saving the town the cost of trying to build so close to the water and compensating for that by looking at opportunities to buy land that would help balance that equation as we move back away from the water, that we look at opportunities where we can buy land at a higher elevation. And these parcels are at a higher elevation and they do provide that. You can see the lower part of Stevens Field where the basketball court and the baseball field are. They're going to stay where they are. In the summer months, we can recreate on them. And then when the storms come in, they can act as kind of an absorption field area where the sea can come in and be absorbed. There will be some seawall construction, some elevation changes, but we're not going to go to some great extent to try to hold back what we're experiencing at Stevens Field. We think it's more cost efficient to move back the infrastructure along with these tennis courts and the playground. They'll all be pulled back. This is the AK Finney property, bus station property purchased in the late 1970s by the town of Plymouth. That parcel was made part of Stevens Field about 15 years ago. It has been remained kind of a blank slate. Under the planning process, we're going to pull infrastructure back to this location and parking. These red little squares that you see down here on Sandwich Street, these are the 3 different parcels that are identified in this article. This is a close-up of those 3 parcels. Note in between the 3 parcels, there's a 14-foot right-of-way that is owned by the town already. This is a right-of-way to get into the park. You can see to the north the Plymouth Fire Station, and the repair shop here, Vinings Golf, is still operational. This parcel goes behind it. So it is a nice addition, as I indicated before, to create this scenic overlook, this pedestrian entrance. There's a lot of opportunities here where we can increase parking and pull it back, and also open up the park to the neighborhood. This is the county auto property around the 1950s when it was a Chevrolet dealership. You can see to the right of that photograph is the Plymouth Bottling Works. This is the parcel that fronts Sandwich Street that we're looking to acquire. This is a picture in 2020 where the Chevrolet dealership is gone, Plymouth Bottling Works is gone, and it's currently an open field. The owner of the property went ahead and took down the property. They went through Mass DEP. They went through a permitting process of testing, taking down the building, removing tanks, and they paid for that. They're currently on record for those activities. It was noted that there is some additional cleanup that is required at the site. This vote of town meeting to set aside $390,000 for the acquisitions of the 3 different lots would be contingent on the town buying the property as Mass DEP has determined it to be clean. So we won't be buying if it is not clean to their satisfaction. So we continue to discuss with the owner the final cleanup activities that will be required before we purchase the property. But there's been a significant amount of work done so far. The building's been taken down, tanks have been removed. There has begun a significant cleaning process. The next slide is looking towards downtown Plymouth, towards the fire station. You can see across the street the old Hollow Fort House, the Hollow House, where it is now sitting there. It dates from the 1670s, and for the first time in quite some time, it now has ocean views because these buildings have been taken down. So you can see the vistas that have already been created. This is standing on the property looking over Stevens Field. So this is the view you have looking out at Long Beach. The view sweeps to the left where you can see Clark's Island and the lighthouse, and at Saquewish Head, and out at the Garnet, the lighthouse at the Garnet. So it has a really nice view from that vantage point. This is the ball field itself. The ball field will stay in the vicinity where it is today. There'll be some repairs to the park under the new plan, but it will, and you're seeing this in other cities where waterfront parks are being designed to be accommodating for the population during the summer months, but during the winter months, where we're going to see surges, that the park act as an absorption area. And right now, the town of Plymouth is involved in a municipal vulnerability program grant process where Commonwealth is asking towns to examine opportunities where they can pull back infrastructure. There's actually grant money available under that process. The town of Plymouth is on record with its new plan to address these issues. So we're now eligible for grants that would help us move back infrastructure. We'll be looking into that process to help with the construction of Stevens Field. This is the original plan that was proposed. After a few years, we came to the conclusion that we needed to move more infrastructure back. So there was a revised plan put together. You can see here in the revised plan, we've pulled back the parking, we've pulled back the tennis, we'll pull back the playground, and again, the ball field and the tennis courts will stay where they are currently. But you can see in the next slide, you'll see the 2 yellow spaces. Those are the land we're buying on Sandwich Street. So you can see how it sets up a nice connection to Sandwich Street where we can have pedestrian entrances, scenic overlooks, expanded parking. This will help improve the functionality of Stevens Field. And as we move forward on the plan to rebuild Stevens Field, it will be done in a manner where we maximize the use of these parcels that we're looking at the acquisition. Currently, right now, the Department of Marine Environmental Affairs has gone through a permitting process to begin the construction. This fall, late this year, they will begin demolition, and hopefully in the spring, we'll begin construction of the new Stevens Field. That concludes my presentation on Stevens Field. I hope town meeting supports Article 9C. It's a unique opportunity to enhance the qualities of this waterfront property right on Plymouth Harbor. This is the final shot of Stevens Field. This is the moon over Stevens Field as it sets behind uh, the Pine Hills. And again, that concludes our presentation on Article 9C. I hope that town meeting supports this article. It's a unique opportunity where we can increase the size of a park on our waterfront, giving access to the residents to a growing community where waterfront access is not readily available. Also planning for the future by building a new park, pulling back our infrastructure, and utilizing these new parcels to address those issues that were outlined in the article. We hope that town meeting supports the article. Thank you for your attention.